Hey there, fans of Canadian metal. This is Peter Scow from Music is a Journey. You know, with the Juno Awards being just about 2 weeks away from the date of the recording of this video, I decided I want to do a video about the Juno Award for the Best Heavy Metal Album of the Year. So, this is presented by the Canadian Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, and the award was first created in 2011 and first awarded in 2012. At that time, however, it was known as the Best Metal/Hard Rock Album of the Year. But from 2016, it was changed to Heavy Metal Album of the Year, and that includes all subgenres of heavy metal. Now, if you're Canadian, you know what the Juno Awards are. If you're not Canadian, you might have heard about them, or perhaps you have no clue. So let me explain a little bit about the history of the Juno Awards. Best Album of the Year, Best Rock Album of the Year, Best Metal Album of the Year, all right? A little bit of a historical background for you. So in 1964, RPM magazine began polling its readers to name their picks for the best Canadian artists. The results were published each December, but with no formal ceremony. Record label owner Stan Cleese met with RPM founder Walt Grealis to discuss creating an official awards ceremony to honor Canadian artists. The first awards ceremony took place in February of 1970 in Toronto, and was called the Gold Leaf Awards. Readers of RPM were asked to suggest a name for the ceremonies, and Juno was suggested in honor of Pierre Junos, the first head of the Canadian Radio, Television and Telecommunication Commission, and someone who was instrumental in establishing Canadian content regulations to promote Canadian musicians. The name was shortened to Juno, J-U-N-O, and the first awards took place in 1971. Up to 1973, the winners were announced prior to the awards ceremony. From 1974, however, they were announced at the ceremony, which I think is actually a better way of doing it. Keep the suspense going, you know? Music industry representatives formed an advisory committee, and in 1977 they assumed full management and operation of the awards, becoming the Canadian Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences. The award for Best Album was first included in the 1974 awards. It was then called the Award for Best Contemporary Album of the Year, and was awarded to Bachman-Turner Overdrive for their self-titled album. From 1975, it became the Award for Best Selling Album of the Year and was awarded to Bachman-Turner Overdrive in 1975 for Not Fragile and in 1976 for Four Wheel Drive. From 1980, it became Album of the Year, in 1999 Best Album, and from 2003 it reverted to Album of the Year. Each year 5 nominees are selected and 1 is given the award. An award for Best Rock Album was created for the 1991 awards. It was originally called Best Hard Rock/Metal Album and was awarded to Rush for Presto. In 1992 and 1993, it was called Hard Rock Album of the Year and was awarded to Rush for Roll the Bones in 92 and Slick Toxic for Doing the Nasty in 1993. For the next 2 years, it was called Best Hard Rock Album and was awarded to I, Mother Earth in 94 and Monster Voodoo Machine in 95. The name changed a couple of times more before returning to Best Rock Album from 1999 to 2002. Since 2003, it has been known as Rock Album of the Year. From 2012, a category recognizing heavy and hard music was awarded, as mentioned earlier. There are also awards for Alternative Album of the Year and Adult Alternative Album of the Year. So what I thought I'd do now is just to take a look at the nominees and the winners from 2012 up to the present, and I'll just talk a little bit about each of the albums that I actually have. So one of the nominees for 2012 was Juggernaut of Justice by Anvil. This is actually one of Anvil's more higher rated albums of the last couple of decades here. It seems at the beginning of the 2000s their ratings went down, and then they had the whole This Is 13 album, the creation of which was the topic, one of the topics in the Anvil Story movie. But after that, they came out with Juggernaut of Justice in 2011, and this is one of their higher rated recent albums, as I said. It's a good, solid piece of traditional heavy metal in Anvil style. Quite a good album, I think. Another one was Cauldron's second album called Burning Fortune. This is also a pretty solid album. This is Cauldron are a band who play classic 80s metal, but I often feel that the closest band, the band they sound closest to would be Dokken. Although I actually haven't listened to Dokken since the 1980s, so I really don't remember much except from their debut and Back for the Attack. But amongst all the different retro bands that I've heard or that I can think of, I think Cauldron sound probably closest to Dokken in a way. They've got that little bit higher tone, clean vocals. They've got great guitar work. Really good, solid band. And there's a fun video for one of the songs on here. I think it's actually the opening track, All or Nothing. But yeah, it's a fun video, and in one part they are in a little like a little garage, and they've got a stove heater, wood stove heater, and they're playing. It's obviously winter outside, and they're looking to add some extra stuff on the stove, and they're flipping through different albums you see, like Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, and then they pull out a copy of this one, a vinyl copy of this, and throw it in to add to the fire. Anyway, that's Anvil, Burning Fortune. Another nominee was Die Miserable by a band called Fuck the Facts. I actually haven't heard them. And then another nominee was Deconstruction by Devin Townsend Project. This was one of the original 4 albums of the Devin Townsend Project that included Addicted, Key, Ghost, and Deconstruction. And this was the all-out progressive metal album with lots of guests from different bands on here. I don't even remember all of them. I think there was Ishan from Emperor, Michael Ackerfeld from Opeth, the singer for Killswitch Engage, and a few other people. This is quite an album. As I said, a kind of all-out effort to go really heavy and progressive at the same time. Very interesting. And the main theme of this is that a guy who is a vegetarian dies and goes to hell. And what was the story now? Something about him having to eat a hamburger, but he's a vegetarian, so he can't. Whatever. Deconstruction. And the winner for that year was a band called Ken Mode. K-E-N stands for Kill Everyone Now Mode, and their album Venerable, which I don't have. Maybe I have to check that one out. The nominees for 2013 included the album Dead Set on Living by Cancer Bats, Blacklands by Castle. I have actually never heard Castle. I don't know Blacklands. I'll have to check that out. This one here, Epic Loud by Devin Townsend Project. This was the first Devin Townsend Project album to be released outside of that initial set of 4. The album title Epic Loud can be read as Epic Loud or Epi Cloud, as in above the clouds. And the title track actually follows the second understanding of the title, because it is a very light, almost atmospheric piece. But you know, Devin Townsend's style is he can write really loud, bombastic stuff, and he can write really beautiful, light stuff, but his production is always like full-on sound, and even the atmospheric stuff also has this really kind of loud, echoey feel to it. Anyway, that's Epic Loud, one of the nominees. However, I should also mention Ex Deo. It's the name of the band. Their album Caligula was nominated, but the winner was Woods of Ypres with their album Woods 5, Grey Skies and Electric Light. They started out, as I understand, more of a doom metal band. However, this is the only album of theirs that I have, and the only one that I've heard, and it has more of a gothic feel to it. The vocals are very low toned. The songs are a lot about death, or the search for joy in life but not being able to find it, I guess. The very sad thing about this was that singer John Gold, who had been the one continuous member in the band throughout their 5-album career, a month or two after the release of this album, he died in a car accident, aged 31. So I think it's very appropriate that this album was awarded with Best Metal / Hard Rock Album of the Year in 2013. Nominees for 2014 included Gorguts with Colored Sands. Mind the big hype sticker on here. This was the first Gorguts album after some years, and actually I don't know if they've done anything since then. This is from 2013. Gorguts, starting out as a technical death metal band in the early 90s, but evolving their own style as the years went on. And I don't think there is a band that exactly sounds like Gorguts. They do have that death metal vocal style. The music is very heavy, but they compose their songs quite differently, and they are musically literate too. In fact, there is one track on this one here which is purely orchestral, and it is entirely composed by the band members as I understand it. So Gorguts, Colored Sands. Another nominee, Ancients with their Heart of Oak album. This is their debut album. I really like this one. This is a very heavy, progressive band. I think it's fair enough to say that they are rooted in sludge, but like a sludge band going in a progressive direction. In fact, in a way, they actually remind me a lot of Mastodon, even though I only have a couple of Mastodon albums. Just that's what I'm reminded of. They have the clean vocals with a bit of a rough edge to it, and then they also have the more growly, sludgy death metal type vocals. Really cool album in my opinion. A nomination, not an award. However, that would change in another couple of years' time. We also have Ken Mode again with Entrench as a nominee, a band called the Flatliners, which I don't know about, and their album Dead Language, and the winner was Protest the Hero and their album Volition. Protest the Hero being, I guess they are called a progressive metalcore band. Oh, boobs, cover them up. YouTube might not like that. Yeah. In fact, there is an alternate album cover. I think there might be a version of it. Oh, yeah. This picture on the disc, cover the boobs. This picture on the disc here is the alternate album cover because some people didn't want to see boobs. Who doesn't want to see boobs? Anyway, yeah, basically a progressive metalcore type band. A really intense, fast-paced stuff. Lots of change-ups in the music. I would say that they most closely sound like Between the Buried and Me, if you like that. Okay, that was the winner for 2014. 2015, the nominees were Cataclysm, Waiting for the End to Come. This was my first Cataclysm album that I bought. They started out as a very crazy technical death metal band, but the original vocalist left, and I think it was the drummer who took over as the lead vocalist. And from there on, they evolved into a melodic death metal band. Now, if you don't know what exactly is a melodic death metal band, it is basically your traditional heavy metal, very heavy traditional heavy metal with some blast beats as well as lots of melodic guitar lines, which is the connection to traditional heavy metal, but you have also the growly, bellowing, roaring vocals. Now, I actually fairly liked this album. Other Cataclysm albums I've bought I didn't like as much, including their really wild, crazy early stuff. So this one here still remains my favorite. They do have some other albums out there that get fairly high ratings. Just, I find when it comes to death metal, I actually prefer either the old school death metal or the technical, brutal stuff. I'm not quite so keen on melodic death metal. I think it's just I prefer the growly vocals with the harsher type music as well, and for this style of music I would probably prefer clean vocals. But anyway, Cataclysm, Waiting for the End to Come. There is actually an alternative album cover for that. Skullfist, their second album, Chasing the Dream. Skullfist is retro metal going back to the traditional 80s style, on the fast side, probably more of a speed metal type, but also with very high vocals. Really cool band. I have their first two albums. Great stuff if you want to hear that traditional style, really well done. I think even one of the members has a guitar with the imperial Japanese flag with all the red beams coming out, which was popular in the 1980s, that look. Anyway, so that. We also have Negative Qualities by a band called Single Mothers. I'm not so familiar with them. And, oh, I don't have the CD of this. This is Brotherhood of the Ram by Shooting Guns. Back in 2020, I was checking out various Canadian bands, and I found out about Shooting Guns. only one album was available on CD here in Japan, and even their other albums were, I think if I could have gotten a CD, it would have been rather expensive. I get the impression that they released some on CD in limited quantity, so I had to get this as a download. This is the one I like the best, and it's also a nominee for a Juno Award. They are more of an instrumental band on this album here. They set up a rhythm and a riff, and they play that through while this atmospheric stuff is happening in the music, and there'll be a change up and the riff will do something different, maybe a little bit more on the heavy side, and then it'll go back to that previous riff and keep that going for a bit. So it's more of, it's instrumental, and it sounds more like it could be incidental music for scenes in movies, but still pretty interesting album. So that's Brotherhood of the Ram by Shooting Guns. And the winner for 2015 was Devin Townsend for Z2. I talked about this previously. This is the part 2 of the Ziltoid story. This was a full-on massive production. You've got a choir, you've got a background choir, you've got brass orchestra, you have voice actors, you have a narrator, you have sound effects, and just a full-on story. Really quite an event, this album here. All right, 2016, the name changes to Heavy Metal Album of the Year. Searching for Zero by Cancer Bants was nominated. And this one here, this is Never Wanna Die by a band called Diamonds. I really like that album cover there. This is a band, 4 guys and a female vocalist. Pretty cool. Straight up heavy stuff, great riffs. Probably almost like a heavy hard rock band. I've only listened to this a few times though, because it's something I got fairly recently, so I can't give you a full-on review, but you might want to check out Diamonds if you're interested. Desire Will Rot, the album by Fuck the Facts. There they are again. Maybe I really have to check that band out. And Success by Ken Mode. This is the 3rd time we see Ken Mode in here. And the winner for 2016 was Of Ghosts and Gods by Cataclysm, which is an album I considered checking out because I read some favorable reviews about it, but I don't have it. So Of Ghosts and Gods by Cataclysm, winner for Best Heavy Metal Album of the Year in 2016. 2017, another nomination here for a Devin Townsend project. This is Transcendence. This is the last Devin Townsend project album I ever bought, last Devin Townsend album I ever bought. I got the one with the bonus disc in here. I was really into Devin Townsend back in maybe 2015, 2016, and I bought everything I could possibly get on CD. But I think after this, I thought it was time to give it a rest. But this is, again, similar to Epic Cloud. We've got more of these really loud wall of sound, heavy type songs. We've also got more lighter stuff, often female vocalists as guests on these Devin Townsend project albums. So if you like that kind of thing, if you like what Heavy Devi is doing around this time here, this is definitely a good album. I really like the packaging. There was actually a third, the regular version, double disc version, and then there was another version with an extra bonus song, which I think was called Betty's Boobs or Betty's Tits or something like that. Didn't get that one. It would have cost me a couple of $100 extra for that one song. Okay, so Devin Townsend project Transcendence as a nomination. Pacific Myth by Protest the Hero. I don't have that one. Beast by Despised Icon. Suicide Society by Annihilator. And reading that recently, I checked out some ranking videos of Annihilator, and it seems that a lot of fans of Annihilator who have all the albums didn't put Suicide Society up very high, so who knows. And the winner for 2017 was Mandroid Ecostar and their album Coral Throne. 2018, one of the nominees was Archspire's second album, Relentless Mutation. This is a tech death album, and boy is it unique. I've talked about Archspire a couple of times now because I find their approach to tech death is original, particularly in the vocal style. The vocal style is very percussive and very interesting album, for sure, if you're into that kind of thing. As well, there's a band called Longhouse. They had an album called 2, Vanishing. here it is. I was not able to find a CD. I don't know if there actually is one, so I just had to buy the download from Bandcamp. It is a sludge or progressive sludge bass type album. Long songs, very heavy. Long, I mean like 7-8 minutes long, maybe a little bit longer, very heavy, and I think it's the lead vocalist who is also a First Nations fellow, so that was one of the things that interested me in hearing that album. It was nominated, so that's really cool. I don't think Longhouse have done anything since, and even though this album is called Two, I don't remember if there was another album. But yeah, cool stuff if you're into that kind of thing. We also have Striker's 5th album, self-titled here. Striker finally getting a nomination after, you know, this being their 5th album. So that's cool. And I think this is a really great album too. What is the song? Former Glory is like this really affirmative, positive type, hard-hitting glam metal type song here. But Pass Me By, the second track, is more of a thrashy type song. You can find videos for these on YouTube. Pretty cool stuff. So Striker and a band called Mets and their album Strange Peace, also nominated, but the winner was Ancients and their second album Voice of the Void. So continuing on like before, again, a progressive band that seemed to have an origin in sludge, but like Mastodon, expanding outwards into progressive territory. I don't think they actually ever had a sludge album. They've 2 albums so far, and a new one due out this year sometime, hopefully very soon now. They've been talking about it for a while. But that kind of thing. Very heavy, clean, rough vocals, growly vocals, and extended tracks like 6, 7, 8 minutes long with interesting riffs and change-ups in the music. So Ancients, congratulations to them. I say that because they're not only Vancouver-based, but 2 of the members are from Mission, which is a community out in the Fraser Valley, which is kind of cool to know that. Okay, 2019, we have Algorithm by Beyond Creation, a tech death band out of Quebec. I actually have, somewhere around here, I have their first 2 albums. Algorithm is the one that I don't have, and I've been thinking to get it, so I guess maybe later this year. We also saw The Spark That Moves by Cancer Bats. That is 3 times nominations for Cancer Bats. Wow. We have Loved by Ken Mode, and lo and behold, a Ken Mode album I finally have. I love this cover. They are called a noise rock band or very heavy noise metal band. So a lot of the, you know, the screamy type vocals and very loud distortion in the guitars, but I do find the music interesting. I like this album. I don't love it, but I like it. It's interesting. I'll want to check out some of their other stuff, especially since they've had so many nominations. Cobra and the Lotus Prevail 2. Now, I have only one Cobra and the Lotus album, traditional metal with a female vocalist, Cobra Page. Yeah, cool stuff. I'm still thinking about one more Cobra and Page album, Cobra and Page. I'm still thinking about one more Cobra and the Lotus album to get. Should it be Prevail 2? Not sure. And the winner for 2019 was Voivod for The Wake. Do I need to talk about this very much? I don't know. I don't think so. Just this is the first full-length album featuring Rocky on bass. And of course, Chewy, who joined up for the Target Earth album a little while back. Very, very great progressive metal album in that unique Voivod style. Cool stuff. I don't have much for 2020. Orphans by The Agonist. Evolution by Cobra and the Lotus, Martyr by Lindsay Schoolcraft. I actually have never heard of Lindsay Schoolcraft, so I checked out some of her music on YouTube. Probably is pretty good. I think it's kind of borderline for me. If I got the album, I might like it more, or I might think it's still just okay. But anyway, Lindsay Schoolcraft. Through the Wall by Single Mothers, the second time we've seen them up for nomination. And the winner, Striker, for their 6th album, Play to Win. Striker's albums were mostly in the speedy, thrash, traditional metal type thing, but from the previous album they started to introduce a bit of a glam metal style, and this one here they really took a step more into the serious glam metal. I'm not talking about Talk Dirty to Me or Girls, 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 as I said in a recent video about Stryker. This is more of the serious stuff, although Stryker do have a humorous side. Check out some of their older videos. But I really like this one. A lot of great melodies in the song, some heavier songs and some a little bit lighter. The last two, Heavy as the Heart and Hands of Time, are actually really cool. They could have been something from, say, MSG, the Macaulay Schenker Group's album, what the heck was it called now? Forget. Or Save Your Prayers by Wasted, that kind of melodic metal type thing there. So that's 2020's winner. Coming up to 2021, Ballistic Sadistic by Annihilator. Now that album has a little bit more favorable reviews from fans, so that's one I might actually want to check out. That was a nominee. Unconquered by Cataclysm. Hey, there's Cataclysm again showing up, so that's cool. Palimpsest by Protest the Hero. I had considered getting that one, but I think at the time I was choosing between that one and Volition, and I bought Volition instead. Glory, Glory, Apathy Took Helm by Vile Creature. I have no idea. I'll have to check that out. And the winner... Oh, look, I'm wearing the shirt. The winner was Unleash the Archers for their album Abyss. This is one of those albums that I think is just really a fantastic surprise. Really, really great. This is part 2 of the story that began with Apex back in 2017. This album was released. It was ready to go just when the COVID pandemic started, and they were hesitating, thinking, should we release it if we can't tour, or should we wait? They released it. They won a Juno Award for it. They also got listed on a lot of top 10s as well. Vocalist Brittany Slays, fantastic vocalist, got listed on a lot of top 10 lists for female vocals in metal. So this album here, they wrote a lot of the songs on synthesizer and decided to keep the synthesizers in the music. So there's a lot of synthwave on here, as well as power metal, and the story is a science fiction fantasy, and Brittany Slays kills it on the vocals. The guitarists Grant Truesdale and Andrew Kingsley are fantastic. Drummer Scott Buchanan is amazing. Fantastic album. That's why I bought the t-shirt. I was so happy when they won this award too. All right, coming to the end, 2022, we had Days Before the World Wept by The Agonist, Eternal Blue by Spirit Box, don't know them, Lifeblood by Brand of Sacrifice, don't know them, and Power Trio by Danko Jones. I've only just gotten into Danko Jones, got one album back here, and I've got another one on order, and I just yesterday paid for 3 more, used but in very nice condition, to come out of Canada. So I'm really looking forward to hearing those. Watched the documentary on Danko Jones' history from the beginnings in the 90s as a garage rock band before becoming Danko Jones, and then up to, I think, the early 2010s. Really cool, just hard rock, kick-ass, AC/DC-like hard rock with an attitude and some punk influence in there as well. So really cool stuff. And the winner went to Bleed the Future by Archspire. So previously Archspire nominated, this time winning the Juno Award. Again, tech death. I think somewhere in here, there it is, Stay Tech. Yeah, similar to the previous album, really cool stuff. I like this band. Okay, and 2023, Merciless Destruction by Get the Shot. The band's name is Get the Shot. This would have been an album released in 2022 when the COVID-19 vaccinations were going around. Coincidence? I wonder. Paid in Full by Skullfist. I believe that was their third or fourth album, I forget. Now I don't have that one, but I'm considering it. Psychic Jailbreak by Cancer Bats. Yes, I actually have a Cancer Bats album. Said to be a hardcore band, which I think is true by the vocals, but musically, I feel there's a lot of metal in the guitar sound and metal in the riffs and metal in the solos. I don't feel it sounds like, at least not traditional hardcore, But my friend, who is really into hardcore, said, oh yeah, Cancer Bats, great hardcore band, good for skateboarding. So maybe they are hardcore. But I don't know, I really like the sound of this album, so might want to check out another one later on. Got this one fairly recently as well. Thought Form Descent by a band called Wake. I do not know that one. And the winner for the 2023 Best Metal Heavy Metal Album of the Year was Voivod for Synchro Anarchy. Yay! Well, that's 2 wins for them. All right, so that's 2023. Now let's just take a look at who are the nominees for this year's Best Heavy Metal Album of the Year. We have As Gamora Burns by Cryptopsy. Shoot, I have that. Forgot to take it out. Here it is. As Gamora Burns by Cryptopsy. I love this album. This is great. Electric Sounds by Danko Jones. I have it in the standby basket in my Amazon cart. Want to hear that one. It's actually doing really well. They've had, I think, 2 #1 songs in Germany from that album, including, if you want to watch the video, Danko Jones, Get High. That is a hilarious video celebrating the legalization of marijuana in Canada. Boy, do they celebrate. All right. Goliath by Cataclysm. There was a lot of talk about that album when it came out in the fall of last year. Void by Ken Mode. Ken Mode again. And Morgoth Tales. Voivod, I believe that's the album where they covered a lot of their old stuff and had 1 or 2 new songs. It's the only Voivod studio release I do not have yet. Chris Prophy says it's a great album. Okay, so those are the nominees. We will find out, I think it's March 24th. March 24th or March 25th is the actual awards ceremony day, so we will find out who will be this year's winner of Best Heavy Metal Album of the Year, Canadian Heavy Metal. Okay, there we go. Lots of cool stuff there. I got to find out about some new bands that I didn't know about. Got to check out some bands. This has been a great thing here. So, there you have it. Canadian Heavy Metal, once again on Music is a Journey. Watch out for the winner in this year's Juno Awards. Okay, thanks for watching, everyone. See you next time.